Greetings, welcome back, Happy New Year. So if you've been subscribed to the channel for any length of time, you're probably wondering where I've been. If you're new to the channel, you're probably wondering if I'm ever coming back. In the rush to get the cosplay projects wrapped up for DragonCon 2019, my son's Mandalorian costume, and a couple other things, I kind of strapped myself for time. So going into 2020, I was planning on spending the first month or two getting caught up on some of the things that needed to get done that hadn't been done before. I was still cleaning up from Florence, built my cats a big catio on the back porch so that they had some place that they could get outside, a couple other little minor projects. By the time I got those finished, it was pretty apparent that 2020 wasn't going to see any sort of real convention activity at all. They had already announced that they were canceling the Hot Rod Power Tour. DragonCon was still uncertain, and most of the local conventions that we usually attend they had already announced that they were done because of the coronavirus. So instead of spending a bunch of my time working on costumes for conventions that weren't going to happen, I opted to use that time for other things. So now that you know where I was, here's where I'm planning on going. In the immediate future, I intend to start the full rework on my wife's Mandalorian armor. I intend to rebuild her bucket, going to go from the modern style that I used to a night owl style. She prefers it, it's a little sleeker, a little more feminine looking. I intend to redo her entire torso armor, all of it, the ab plate and everything. I'm going to try and use something a little more Bo-Katan style. I will put a video up sometime in the next, hopefully the next couple of weeks, but it could be sometime in the next month or so, with the breakdown on why we're making the changes and what transpired between when I first started that kit and now. Her armor was actually the very first Mandalorian kit that I started. I built hers before I built mine, and it was my first foray into metalworking for cosplay. So before I start my wife's armor and helm build, I'm going to make a couple of changes to my metal shaping techniques. I am currently using a shrinking stump to do all of my metal shaping and metal forming as far as beating it on something. I'm going to switch that over to a sandbag and see how that works out. I've never tried that technique, but I've seen it done before, and I'm interested in learning something new. My T-ball bat that I used, my child-sized T-ball bat that I originally used, has pretty much been beaten up. It's been gouged and worn out, so I'm going to actually pick up a teardrop polymer mallet. I don't know if I'm going to buy one at Harbor Freight, or if I'm going to order one at Eastwood, or if I'm going to even go ahead and splurge and buy a nicer one, but I'm going to go ahead and do that. So that'll be one of the first videos that comes up, is I'm going to make that sandbag. I'll make about a 24-inch sandbag, and I'm going to make it out of the scrap leather that I've got sitting in the other room. While I was on break, I took the factory bed heater off of my CR10 S5, and I switched it to a Kinova dual zone externally controlled bed heater. Much happier with it, but it was not quite the easy plug-and-play install that I was hoping for. I'll put a video up showing some of the things that I had to do to make that work the way I wanted it to, particularly in light of the fact that my printer is stuffed inside a cabinet. That created a couple of other challenges that I wasn't really expecting. Before I get too much further, I'm going to have to redo my belt sander. I was using an old Craftsman belt sander that my parents bought me many years ago for a Christmas present or a birthday present. I don't remember for sure which one it was. And I finally wore the bearings on the rollers out. I spent enough time in front of that belt sander that I'm just going to go ahead and rebuild something with a little bit more power. I have a scrap motor that my father-in-law gave me from his old compressor. It's not an ideal situation, but it was free. I'm going to pick up a couple of 2-inch rollers on Amazon and make my own 2x72. There's enough different plans out there and formats that I'll be able to figure something out, I hope. But first I've got to make a trip to Gulfstream. So the too long didn't read version of all of this is, in the hopeful, reasonably near future, I will be rebuilding my wife's Mandalorian helm, getting rid of the modern style bucket with the cheeks, going to a night owl style, redoing her entire kit, and like I said, before I start that, there'll be a video on what did and didn't work with that particular kit and what I do and do not intend to change as we move forward with the other kit. A couple of small tool-related videos for the cosplay stuff, belt sander and the beanbag for beating on metal, and potentially a mallet. So we'll see. Anyways, thanks for tuning in. I will see you next time. Have a great day.